Good night, viewers, and welcome to this another program, Advancing the Cause. This program comes to you every Wednesday night from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. The official host of this program is the Honorable Coretta McDonald, AA, Member of Parliament and General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union. She is otherwise engaged tonight, and therefore I am your host, Dennis Jaikaran. So, may I this point tender an excuse for the absence of Coretta McDonald, who is otherwise engaged. Our topic tonight is Guyana, friends and families, no respect for the rule of law. The content of this program tonight will be based on small things matter. Small things matter. All of what we will be saying is as a result of alleged information and in some cases confirmed information as received by credible persons each day. But before we get into the program proper, I want to say to you that today, the National Assembly met, and the National Assembly in February of this year approved a budget of $1.146 trillion. And that would have been approved in February of this year. Let me repeat the sum that was budgeted for in the national budget 2024 and as approved in February of this year, 6 months ago, $1.146 trillion. And so today, the National Assembly convened another sitting this morning. And there were two financial papers being presented, totaling $40 billion or more. And so, in addition to the $1.146 trillion that would have been approved in February of this year, 6 months after, having not completed the year as yet, they have come back for over $40 billion. And so we say at this stage on this program that while we are saying tonight as a topic for this program, Guyana, friends and family, no respect for the rule of law, we can add to that to say that we are on the brink of a total collapse of this economy. And therefore, Guyanese, and those of you who are in the diaspora and are listening to this program, whether you are Guyanese or not, this is cause for concern. What would have taken place this morning in the National Assembly? Having two financial papers been presented, totaling a sum of over $40 billion, taking into consideration that 6 months ago, which would have been in February of this year, a budget would have been approved for $1.146 trillion. And so we are in a bad place at this stage. And so I thought it fit that on this program tonight, that we should bring you up to scratch with what is happening. And we would want to believe that by the end of this year, there are going to be more financial papers seeking to have more money being extracted from the treasury. And so the question of accountability has to come into effect. But let me say this. Once upon a time when we were in government, the coalition, supplemental papers could have only gone to the parliament, the National Assembly, when you would have exhausted your spending on a particular line item. And if by chance there's something called environment, if you don't have environment from one line item to another, then you ask for a supplemental spending. But you have to exhaust that spending. And this is what is happening during that time. The Auditor General pays keen attention when you go for more money and when you would have not exhausted your spending. So right now, I am calling out the Auditor General. I am calling out the Accountant General of the Ministry of Finance. I'm calling out the gentleman that sits somewhere up at the top of the Ministry of Finance, you call the Finance Secretary, who when he took office said to all of us in this country, every time there was a sitting of the Monday story in Parliament, what you call it again? The Public Accounts Committee. He always comes in and say to you that he is reviewing. He is reviewing. He is reviewing. And to date, nothing he said to us in this country that he would have been reviewing, he reviewed it. He is a waste of time. And he is one of them that should go home because he's receiving taxpayers' money for not doing anything but making promises. And so at this stage, we have to be very mindful and careful because money from the treasury is taken out at the whims and fancies of this government. And because they have a one-seat majority, and maybe two because somebody is sucking sugar on the other side and getting and playing their game, they are going to have a two-seat majority, and not even majority vote, so to speak. And because of that, they are taking advantage of the situation. But I would hope that the time would have come when all Guyanese are going to be able to ask of them to account for monies taken out of the treasury without proper justification. And mind you, some of those persons that sit in those offices that I call, they have to play the game because some of them are not adequately qualified for the position, or they are retired and they are sitting there and taking up people's good time there. Young, adequately qualified persons. And we must speak the truth and speak it always, regardless of who or what is it. And so, viewers, tonight, I thought it fit that I should go down that line first and then be able to say and to come to you, because tonight also we have a number of events and activities, and this program would not go the length of time we are accustomed for it to go because we have to give way for all the other activities because all are important, just as this program. And therefore, we have to give that leverage and that credit and credence to those other programs. So we go now quickly to say, as we commence this program, I want to express deep felt sympathy to the family of the late Dr. Simpson De Silva. And for those of us who would have been in politics for a very long time, would have recognized that the late Simpson De Silva was the youngest minister ever in this country. He served as Minister of Agriculture in that time, and that was when Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham was president of this country. And to the family of the late Dr. Simpson De Silva, this program expresses our deep felt sympathy to you. May the soul of the late Dr. Simpson De Silva rest in peace. Tomorrow marks another year of celebration of emancipation, but most of it would have started in different communities last week, continuing this week. The activities continue tonight, continue tomorrow, and up to the end of August. So tomorrow is going to be a very important event and activity at the National Park. And therefore, we ask all of you to turn out in your numbers at only one place, and that is the National Park. And because of this event and activity tomorrow, this program again is expressing at this time our best wishes to all our Guyanese brothers and sisters, a happy and a productive Emancipation 2024. May this activity have long life and will be built stronger and stronger each year. So having put those two items under the belt, so to speak, I want us to turn our attention to the reckless and the lawless way in which some level of public officers operate in this country, especially in the enforcing agencies. And for purposes of this discourse, I'm going to ensure that I name 5 of those agencies that are supposed to be enforcing agencies, but are playing the games of friends and families because of their association with the PPP. And for you to very well understand by them doing what they are doing, that they are disrespecting each and every moment in this country, the rule of law. And so I list these agencies. One would have been the NIS, 2, the Guyana Revenue Authority, 3, the Ministry of Labor, more particularly the Minister of Labor, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Guyana Power and Light. And so this is a scenario and situation. Despite the fact that several letters and this is what would have been told to us, would have been written to these agencies in relation to the establishment or the unauthorized and illegal establishment of a mechanical workshop in a residential area and the concerns of these enforcing agencies, it was brought to their attention about 3-4 months ago, as is alleged. And to date, there has been cold water on this entire matter. But it is further revealed that this particular mechanical workshop is causing three types of pollutions: a chemical pollution, a dust pollution, and a noise pollution. And so NIS, among the 5 agencies, would have been written to. And I'm told that last week, they sent an officer from NIS to check what is happening, meaning the persons that are working there. And I'm told that he came and he served them with some kind of forms, not notice, for them to now be registered. So NIS is part of a bigger circle that is now registering persons in an authorized, unauthorized, and illegal workshop. You see them there, NIS? And they are doing that. And we are told, and we very well believe that the officer, as alleged, advised them that what they should say and put on the form, to his benefit and to the disadvantage of NIS collecting its full share of money. And that is what you call not only friends and families of the PPP, but cronyism, and having public officers being part of an agencies, enforcing agencies, allowing for the establishment of such unauthorized and illegal workshop in a residential area. Then there is another enforcement agency, the Guyana Revenue Authority. That agency would have also been written to, I am told, about 7 letters spanning the last 4 months. And to date, they would not have had the courtesy, the common courtesy, as dictated by any public office when you receive such a letter, to even send a letter of acknowledgement. That was not done. And that is common courtesy or the normal course of duty in any public office. And so we are at a stage to reckon with that all these things are as a result of friends, families of the PPP, and no respect for law and order in this country. So GRA, while they harp and run on public officers that are in the employ of government to cause them to deduct from their salaries sums of money that you call PAYE, they are not doing that for this illegal. They have never turned themselves there, I understand, to ask, to interview, or to cause them to realize that the revenue authority has that power and authority to demand and to cause them to pay their full share or sum of money. And they have turned a blind eye on that. And why they would have turned a blind eye on that is because of friends and families of the PPP. And because of that, people are continuing to suffer because I mentioned early on that this entire mechanical workshop is given the hell of a time with dust, noise, and chemical pollution. And GRA, the officers sit on their sit-upons and never turn up to do anything that is worth the while. You can only conclude that they are part and parcel of a bigger train, so to speak, that is in for lawlessness and for the total disrespect of the rule and laws of this country. And then there is the Ministry of Labor. The Minister of Labor, this program is advised, would have also been written on several occasions. And I want to let the Minister of Labor know that he is a public servant and he is paid from the public purse. He is paid from the people's money and he has to give service. And so he never ever allowed himself or his officers to engage the persons who operate that workshop, that illegal and unauthorized workshop in a residential area. Because daily, as you see and as reported, that they are all breaking the labor laws and they are not complying with the Health and Safety Act, a very important act that is workplace based. And once that is there, the first signage you would see, it would be safety begins here. None of that is there. They are not wearing any protective gearing, so to speak, as told to us. And the Minister of Labor and all his officers, they are upon their sit-upons and they are more reactive than proactive. And when anything would have happened in any work situation, the first person to make any erroneous statement, not having the facts before him, is the Minister of Labor. And he blames every other person and situation other than his officers who are not doing the work. Why are we protecting in these situations underperforming officers? But again, it comes back to friends and family of the PPP. And so you protect wrongdoing. You encourage the establishment of an unauthorized and illegal workshop in a residential area. But the Minister of Labor, the Ministry of Labor, the officers of the Ministry of Labor, they are also public officers that receive public funding as their salary from the Treasury, and they are public servants. And so that is the third agency. And the fourth agency is the Environmental Protection Agency. I want to strongly believe that the Environmental Protection Agency is in the process of hibernation now. And all they are concerned with the oil and gas industry, and even up to that, they have not a clue of anything that is going on there. Not a clue that is anything that is going on there. And at this stage, I wish to say that the Environmental Protection Agency should have been one of the agencies of the front agency in this aspect of the five, to have come forward and to look at the noise pollution, the chemical pollution, and the dust pollution. And I'm told of the several letters that would have been sent to the director, the executive director of the Environmental Protection Agency. None would have received any acknowledgement. These are the public officers we have, only concerned about their friends and families to make them comfortable once you are from the PPP. And all these things are tantamount to the breaking of the rules and the laws of this country. But I want to tell EPA, unless and until something grave would have happened with the health of persons, then as the Ministry of Labor, they would be reactive. By then, it might be too late. But the documents are there so that whatever time it might be, it would be shown to the appropriate persons. And if needs be, the necessary action would be recommended. And so I call out at this stage the Environmental Protection Agency. And I call them out because they are part and parcel of a wider grouping of friends and families that are encouraging, so to speak, the establishment of this illegal and unauthorized workshop. And I'm emphasizing in a residential community that is resulting in dust, noise, and chemical pollution. And the last enforcing agency is this blackout agency you call Guyana Power and Light. Guyana Power and Light. They also, like the other four agencies, as would have mentioned early on, would have been so advised of this situation. They would have also been advised that this workshop is consuming industrial electrical consumption. But I want to strongly believe, and it was suggested to us, or may I frame it this way, it is alleged that despite the fact that this workshop, they are operating heavy-duty machinery, and I say it is alleged, that they might have been paying or are paying for domestic consumption. And a number of things with the Guyana Power and Light. The type of wiring that is there would not have had any electrical pass. And unless there is an explosion, physical explosion, I don't mean explosion of people, or a big fire, or any other eventuality, like the other agencies, then the Guyana Power and Light would become reactive. They are not protecting the environment. They are not protecting other consumers of electricity, meaning domestic consumers of electricity, because they are allowing in their face, as alleged, a situation in which persons are using heavy-duty machinery powered by domestic wiring, paying for domestic consumption. And mind you, I have the date, I have the number of them. That right at the workshop, I am told that GPL, they give me the date and the time and how many minutes they spend there at the same workshop, the illegal and unauthorized workshop in a residential area. So they are part and parcel of allowing for the establishment of this unauthorized and illegal workshop in the residential area. But I'm further told because of disgust with writing these agencies that a letter would have been sent elsewhere. And I would be pressing on this matter for those concerned persons because it is a dangerous situation. One, it is a situation in which an unauthorized and illegal workshop, like many others, they are now being established in residential area. All of them would allow for dust, noise, and chemical pollution. And just like that, from NIS and GRA and EPA, Ministry of Labor, and the Guyana Power, they would follow the same way. And so, viewers, I am of the opinion that until and unless we are able to make some kind of adjustment to this situation, we are not going to be able to move anywhere. And so at this stage, I want us to be able now to turn to a situation in which there is this total absence or non-functioning of what we refer to in those days as the Consumer Protection Agency. And the absence of the active Consumer Protection Agency is allowing for a total breakdown in communication between suppliers of services, goods and services, and the consumers themselves. So when consumers are faced with situations that they need to address, there is nowhere because there is no proper consumer protection agency to safeguard the consumers. And so I call on the authorities to ensure a proper, effective functioning of a consumer protection agency. And if by chance it is for purpose that there is no active consumer protection agency, and it is for the protection of friends and families of the PPP, and breaking off and not complying with the rules and regulations and the laws of this country, then for that purpose, it serves the purpose. But it is placing the consumers of goods and services in this country at a great disadvantage. And we need to act on this because as consumers of goods and services, we are in a bad position. And so at this time, I wish to turn our attention to a very, very important aspect of Guyanese life. And that is the payment of school grants. Recently, maybe in the last week, second to last week, and the last week of the end of the school year, or the end of the August term, school grants would have been paid. And it is alleged that there are a number of discrepancies for which this program would have been asked to bring to the attention of the viewers. And one of the things would have been, it is alleged that a particular nursery school head teacher, and it might be more, but one came to our attention, allegedly paid herself from that cash grant, allegedly paid her teachers from that cash grant, allegedly paid her cousin, who is not a parent, to have received that, but has a child that is way below play school age, allegedly received that grant, and it is cause for concern. And then this is another part of it. When we did the analysis, it is alleged that at the nursery level, that payments would have been made or monies would have been allocated for 3 sets of persons. In the nursery school, you have year 1 and year 2. So if you pay now, and I want our viewers to listen because it might have happened in your community, but you look over it. You do not know at this stage how many children are going to come into your nursery school. But they would have worked out a number. Listen carefully. They have worked out a number, the nursery schools. It is alleged. So that is one set. The second set would have been the first year children going to the second year. That is legal because they are in the second year. But you don't know what you receive for the first year, and you can't make an assumption. But they had to make, we are told, allegedly had to make an assumption. And then the third set is that the second year in those nursery schools are accounted for, allegedly, in 2 places, in the nursery school itself and is in the primary school as proposed to go in the grade 1. But the grade 1 would go to grade 2 and the advance would go up like that to grade 6. So instead of paying 6 levels or grades at the primary school, it is alleged that they are paying for 8 grades. 2 would be to come, that is from the nursery school. The grades that are there, 1 to 6, and then the grade 6 who would have completed the national grade 6 examination assessment. Despite the fact they are not legally students of the school and would have been awarded places at secondary schools, payments were there for them also. And their names, I am told, allegedly would have been submitted to the secondary school. So again, they are accounted for there, allegedly, and then the cycle goes on in the secondary school. And so the grade 10, which is the CSEC students, are out. And the mere fact that they are out, then nothing should be paid for them, or they have never received traditionally. But the list is there, allegedly. And so I'm saying, as came to us this information, it is cause of concern. And here I want to call out the Chief Education Officer. I want to call out the Minister of Education. I want to call out the Auditor General, whom I have always said would have been very, very active during 2015, 2020, when the coalition was in government. I hope that the Auditor General and his officers are so active, or even more active than they were. But very many cases would have been brought to their attention. And so I call out the Minister of Education the goodly chief education officer, and the auditor general. And payment of cash grant, which is now for homes and what have you. They said there are two types. One for the very poor people that needy people, so to speak, inverted commas, and for those people with small businesses. But there are certain allegations that were put and suggested to us that there are some homes where one cash grant should have been paid, but it would have been paid to the number of persons in the house, allegedly, and in certain houses in particular areas. And it is alleged that in one home, that a mother, a father, the children, one of them would have been, it is alleged, a policeman, and the in-laws and the grandchildren, it is alleged, all would have been paid the cash grants. And so here again, this is total discrimination, and it is not meeting to the real people. It is not meeting to the people it was meant for. Well, I don't know meant for, because for the friends and family, it is different from who don't get and why they don't get what they don't get. And so that is cause of concern. And here again, we want to call out the Auditor General. We are going to call him out. We are going to call out the people who are paid with public funds. We are going to call out the public officers and public servants who ought to serve the people and are sitting upon their sit-upons. And when friends and families of the PPP are there, they turn a blind eye on it. But we are calling them out, as we are doing tonight on this program. And so we can only conclude and believe that this grant is to the rich and fortunate, and the poor and unfortunate are shunned and are rejected. But let me say this to all of us so that we better understand that whatever sum of money is extracted from the treasury, it is not PPP money. It is not government money. It is state money. I've clarified that on very many occasions. It is state money. Monies generated by the government, that is government money. Money generated by PPP is PPP money. And the state money is the state money. So that is that. The state money is used to pay these grants. It is not PPP money. So there should be equal share in this, both the cash grants for children at the school and the cash grant for the different communities. I want to touch a little bit on what we call graduation at nursery, primary, and secondary, for it is a very serious situation. Some time ago, graduations never happened in nursery school. It is just a final assembly, so to speak. And in the primary school, graduation only happens at the common entrance in those days, and now the national grade 6. And at the secondary school, CSEC. And things turn around. So at the nursery school level, you have big graduation for these children. What it means to them, they themselves are the parents or the head teachers of these schools don't even know, or the teachers. And so as a result of that, it gives us the opportunity to want to believe that these graduation exercises are a farce, so to speak. And why we say it is a farce, because it gives the opportunity, as is alleged, for these nursery school head teachers and teachers to solicit funds unauthorizedly from the communities and business places, and to place these funds without any level of accountability. And the same thing happens, and I understand at the nursery level, that the head teachers and teachers, it is alleged, are buying gifts for themselves. And at the primary and secondary level, at the primary, so to speak, it is alleged that at a particular primary school, that this head teacher sent out the national grade 6 pupils to go and solicit funding. And so when they went out there to solicit funding, it was a rainy day and the children were wet. And when the head teacher would have been asked that, she denied everything. But this same head teacher, it is alleged, again we come back to friend and family, would have had an administrative appointment by the Teaching Service Commission. And the school she came from, to date, she has not handed over formally and fully that school. And it is alleged that this same head teacher is a very close friend, if not a staunch member of the PPP. But she is breaking all the rules and regulations. It is alleged that she was a recalcitrant, so to speak, but because she's his PPP friend and family, that nothing can happen with her. It is further stated and alleged that her brother, who is the head of a particular spiritual church, or grouping, not church, is a very staunch member of the PPP. And help also comes his way, state funding, it is alleged. And so we have to be able to look at these very situations, because it is friends and families of the PPP that are all engaging in breaking the laws and not doing the correct thing. And so professionalism in the Ministry of Education, in our schools, would have gone through the window, more particularly from 2020 to now, in a very serious way. And here I want to call out, on a very serious note, the Minister of Education, the Chief Education Officer, and maybe the Auditor General, to check on the level of accountability of schools that solicit, and for the CEO to take a hand on the redos that do not seek to look at the rules and regulations, but are given these kinds of permission willy-nilly to these persons. Payment of public assistance. The payment of public assistance is a situation and a cause for concern. Because here again, it is friends and families of the PPP. And it is alleged that at a particular time of the year, particular persons who are overseas as permanent citizens or residents, whatever you call them, make it their duty to return to this country and to shortchange every single aspect of the rules and regulations. And they give a Guyana address. And one of these persons, it is alleged, is the mother of a head teacher, a nursery school head teacher, who is a recalcitrant, and the Department of Education in a particular region is not doing anything, or the Ministry of Education is not doing anything. But the mother of this same head teacher comes to the country, gives a home address, collects her book, so to speak, or allegedly, and she's gone. And the persons in this country who are to receive, to have, and to hold public assistance or old age pension, they do not benefit from it. Because, like that person or persons, they are not friends and families of the PPP. But the persons who benefit from that are friends and families of the PPP. But that matter is fraud. And the police should be involved because it is an alleged situation. And the police should seek to find out from the authorities that be, whoever are those persons. And I now call out the Auditor General. And again, I call out in a very special way the minister who is responsible for Social Security. I don't remember, don't know her name. And once you are not important, it doesn't mean you don't remember name. Some Vindhya or something. And so that is the case. So that we are calling out them at this stage for these kinds of things so that they can be able to assist in any way or in any form, not to have this bleeding of state funds in double dipping of persons, allegedly, and don't have the police involved, or the Auditor General involved, or the Minister of Social Services involved. So they are listening and they know, they are taking notes from these programs. But we don't cast aspersions on persons, agencies, and organizations. We bring to you the truth and the fact. And if we don't bring, we say to you it is alleged. And once it is alleged, it is for you to go and find out. Because once it is alleged, some truth might be there. Let me turn very quickly, because I have been speaking about that. CPC, and these what you call satellite centers in these regions. These centers are in a total mess. And you see, because this is a very professional program, if it was not a very professional and very orderly program, I would have said that these centers are in a state of biogas or hogwash. But I wouldn't say that to describe these centers and the management of these centers. Because all these centers are managed by either AMs or by SAMs who have not a speck of experience of administration in education. But they were forked out of the classroom because they are friends and families of the PPP and placed in positions that they are failing the education system. They are failing our teachers that are in training. And the recruitment of persons to lecture at these in-service centers is much to be desired, because it is alleged that they were told that any person they recruit Those recruitments ought to be based on who are friends and families of the PPP, and not necessarily the persons who are adequately qualified and experienced to do such lectures. And so the students of these in-service centers are complaining bitterly. They are complaining of the delivery of the content by these forked out, so to speak, non-performing lecturers who are friends and families of the PPP. And they are all breaking the rules, laws, and regulations governing aspects of education. And because of that, the education system has gone from a standstill to a downward slope. That recovery of the system is very limited. And because of that, our children are facing the blunt of things, or the brunt of things, so to speak. Because everything that they are basing these things are friends and families of the people. Our information would have suggested to us, and again it is alleged, that across this country, that nearly every week, every month, once there is a drum that hits, that friends and families of the PPP, it is alleged, give instructions to the police. And so they block the main roads and thoroughfares of this country where we have our traffic. And it is bringing kind of desperation on our drivers and other road users. And in some cases, it is alleged that those traffic officers that are placed to do the dirty work, so to speak, are very hostile. And the areas would have been pointed out. One area would have been just around the Anna Regina area, the High Bridge area, where total confusion is when these events are there, or around the Henrietta area, because friends and families of the PPP reside in those areas. And when they call the police upon to do things, it is alleged they have to comply. And so the public is so concerned about that. And they would have indicated that to us, but they said that it is alleged. And in some cases, some people who we can't remember would have confirmed that it's not only allegation, but it's cause of concern. Board of Industrial Training. The Board of Industrial Training is an agency of or under the Ministry of Labor. And they are responsible for doing training. But it is alleged that these people are doing training in only predominantly friends and family areas and communities of the PPP. So who are provided with that training? Only friends and families of the PPP. And this is very discriminatory. And because it is government money that is being, it is state money that is being spent, it ought to meet across the board where all Guyanese are supposed to benefit. But this is not the case. The Board of Industrial Training, the employees of the Board of Industrial Training are advised, we are told, and it is alleged, that they should only select, it is alleged, only select friends and families of the PPP so that they would have the benefits. And it is further alleged that the master trainers in these programs must only be friends and families of the PP, alleged again. And that there are big boxes or big money paid, it is alleged, for each of these programs. And because of that, we are calling out right now again the Auditor General for total accountability of state funds. Because all we are calling out here for the Auditor General, we are going to put these things in writing, and at a particular time, we are going to raise it to say that these things were told, but the Auditor General paid or did not pay any kind of attention to it. And we might want to conclude that this is so because it might have been friends and families of the PPP that are benefiting, and he doesn't want to be part of it because he might be part of it in a different way or form, maybe allegedly, we don't know. And so we need to let people understand that, and other communities must now demand that kind of training because it is state funding. State funding. The Bureau of Statistics or the Statistical Bureau, whichever it's called, it is alleged that they have a group of persons allegedly going around this country, very selective persons, so to speak, region to region, taking information. And there are specific information, it is alleged, they are taken. We don't know, we have not confirmed it, but we are saying what is alleged. And that information serves political purpose and for the friends and families of the PPP and for alleged the Elections Commission. We don't know, but it is alleged, and we take the information as alleged. But here again, we want to ask that the Auditor General pays keen attention of the spending of these funds, because it might not have been public advertisement to recruit these persons, but because there might be, we don't know, to suggest that they might be friends and families of the PPP. And so they are, by virtue of that qualification, being recruited for this particular job. And so we need to take a serious look at that very situation. And I now need to very quickly look at administrative appointments in our schools, because it is alleged that these persons that are appointed administratively in these secondary schools by either Teaching Service Commission or the school board, in most cases, the school board secretariat, that these persons are allegedly doing a very bad work. They are mismanaging every aspect of resources. It is alleged in the school. It is alleged that teachers are complaining, that parents are complaining, the students are complaining, that they are not getting satisfaction, that there are numerous levels of indiscipline in these schools, these board schools, and that those persons who are appointed administratively because they are friends and families of the PPP, and they are appointed either by the school board or the Teaching Service Commission, they are doing a miserable work, a mess of the system, so to speak. And so again, we call out, because it is friends and families of the PPP, and it is breaking all the rules and laws that exist in making these appointments. We call on the Teaching Service Commission, the school board secretariat, the Minister of Education, the Chief Education Officer, to ensure that these very situations are corrected. And the last point I want to make before I close tonight is that And I'm going to be specific to the area because it was brought to our attention. And whether it is alleged or not, we need to make it a public affair or interest, because here again it boils down to friends and families of the PPP. The Anna Regina Secondary School has a ground, big ground, and that is east of the secondary school. And it is south of the Cottonfield Secondary. So both schools utilize that ground. The community, the Bushlot, the Reliance, no, sorry, the Bushlot and the Cottonfield community, they utilize that ground. But from all indications, they are now proposing to use part of that ground in an effort to do an extension of the Cottonfield Secondary School. I taught at that school, and I know that there is land space right in that compound to do any expansion of that building. And so what they are doing now, they are encroaching on a ground where when you add the number of students from Multi, the Anna Regina Secondary School, and the Cottonfield Secondary, it is about 2,000. And the environment there, the community there, both Bushlot and Cottonfield, about another 500 young people, adults, and what have you. So when you do that, you are putting out away from recreational facilities about 2,500 beneficiaries. And once these things happen, it is because friends and families of the PPP are benefiting from such project, and they do not care what land they encroach on, whether it is recreational facilities, whether it is agricultural based facilities, or what have you. And so I want the public to know also, our viewers to know, that that Anna Regina Secondary School, that there's a dormitory facility, and people from as far as Region 1, parts of Region 2, Region 7, parts of Region 8, they reside in that dorms. And so you are going to take away a recreational facilities from those children. You are going to take away a recreational facility from both the Anna Regina Secondary School and the Cottonfield Secondary School and the immediate environment there, which would be the Cottonfield area and the Bushlot area. And so here is where I am calling out the Minister of Education. I don't want to call anybody regional administration. They make no sense, none of them. The regional chairman, the REO, the vice chairman, worst yet. I understand he had some difficulty in it is alleged it's signing his name somewhere. I don't know. It is alleged. I don't know if it's true or not. So we wouldn't speak to them about that. But I'm calling out right now the Minister of Education and the other authorities so that they can be able to bring some kind of order and semblance to this very nasty and deceitful situation that our young people are going to suffer as a result of friends, family, and favorites of the PPP. And so, viewers, tonight, I think, as I said early on, because we have other programs that we want to be part of tonight, and we encourage all of you to be part of the right programs that are about, we want to say how grateful we are to you for joining us tonight. Continue to join this program every Wednesday night from 6:30 to 8:30. I correct myself, from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And that the next week, you would have the official host of this program, the Honorable Coretta McDonald, AA, MP, General Secretary of the Guyana Teachers Union. And to our viewers, we are very grateful for your support. We are grateful for your advice. We are grateful for the information you sent to us time and again. And we want to wish you a good night. May God bless you. And again, happy emancipation to all our Guyanese brothers and sisters here and in the diaspora. Thank you, and may God bless you.